Yes, Dad. I understand you need petrol money. If you're available Saturday night, accomplish some extra jobs. I'll compensate you $10. It was marketed as simple comedy about teens growing up Wisconsin. But nothing about that Seven show was easy. Under the laugh track and retro style, the series concealed tensions, dangerous choices, personal issues that never arose into the screen. In the center it was Topher Grace. The improbable newcomer play Eric Foreman carried secrets that changed everything, creating a classic. That 70s show debuted on TV. Screens felt like lightning in 1998 inches bottles. Sharp comedy. The setting was nostalgic but new. An ensemble cast has easy chemistry made spectators feel like sitting out in that renowned basement be their side. Although it seemed effortless humor, truth is nothing about its creation was easy, and from idea to hit show was full with unanticipated obstacles, especially for the young actor to become star of Topher Grace. The show made by Bonnie Turner, Terry Turner, Mark Brazil. The trio Deseretto makes something that captured teen experience in the 1970s, complete with music, culture, discomfort, and rebellion of the time. First, their working titles leaned strongly into current music, and one of the first names they sought were Teenage Wasteland, taken from classic Who Lined Bob O'Reilly. Another contender was Feeling Okay from the popular Traffic song. Both names fit the tone, but copyright issues ended immediately those options. Pressured and frustrated for time, developers chose that 7SAS a placeholder until they could imagine better. The name was casual, but it stuck early. Production. Nobody could consider calling anything else. This temporary title permanent, and millions of viewers worldwide know it by that name. The series took place in fictitious Wisconsin's Point Place, marked it as Midwestern backdrop. This location wasn't chosen random. Actually, it mirrored suburbia scenes and normal creators' neighborhoods grew up in the 1970s. Fox premiered the show in August 23 RD, 1998. By the end, it ran until May 18, 2006.8 seasons, 200 episodes. Central to this new Eric Foreman was Sitcom, created as an emotional anchor. Every character, his quirks and mark directly influenced dry humor Brazil's teen self. Like Brazil had been a little sarcastically, geeky, and very Star Wars and comics junkie. These attributes made Eric instantly applicable to anybody who has felt awkward in high school or withdrawn science fiction when real felt overwhelming. Find the ideal actor was vital for Eric Foreman. But surprise, Topher Grace, who went portray the character Sosmuth, no acting talent, any experience. Finding him at a school play at Brewster Academy, where someone in industry observed his natural timing and stage presence. Just like that, Grace became more than a high-school kid to major audition network show. Landing the role was life-changing, but also under pressure he wasn't ready for. He found himself in the middle of a prominent sitcom, around experienced young actors who soon growing in Hollywood. Had to carry a lot of the show's emotion, especially with Eric back. Off-again relationship with Donna Pincia type performed by Laura Prepon, became one of main plots. Their partnership wasn't only memorable admirers, but also an emotional one arcs lending the show depth beyond laughs. The production also leaned passionate about genuineness. A series from 1976 until December 31, the decade's end, 1979. This let writers pack the fashion exhibition with cultural references, trends, and music gave it authenticity, 1970s vibe. Actual music from period, including Led Zeppelin songs Queen and Cheap Trick performed, providing the show a lived-in feel, grounding the comedy. Precise moment. Eric's personality was complex. He had one hand. Snarky, uncomfortable kid cracking jokes with pals in the basement, though was smart, emotive, and intricate. Character who had insecurity with wit. Thank goodness Topher Grace's unpolished style worked perfect, making Eric feel special viewers knew personally or possibly saw in themselves. Over time, Eric kept the performance going for years. Together, he remained crucial. Character in the first 7 seasons and returned briefly in 8th, but the series had by then changed greatly. Still, fans remembered him as 70s core character who made the show personal, authentic nostalgia comedy. However, the journey wasn't without struggles. As Topher Grace would later experience, being central a cultural phenomena had its own complications that would arise change the show in ways none anticipated. Cracks beneath laugh. By 70s show's end, 7th season, it was established as one of Fox's most popular sitcoms. Week after week, viewers tuned in week to watch Eric, Donna, Kelso, Jackie, Hyde, and Fez stumble teen pandemonium beneath the sharp eye of red and warm but tired patience of Kitty. Behind the scenes, but the harmony that defined the early show was unraveling, and cracks formed would alter everything series dynamics. In 2005, fans shocked when it was revealed the actor Topher Grace carried so much of the show's emotion. Eric Foreman would not return as regular cast member for 8th season. For 7 years, Eric was Street's core. The awkward yet charming teen with wry humor, passionate romance with Donna grounded everyone. His absence created a void nobody could learn to fill. Around the same Ashton Kutcher attempted a similar decision. After riding the wave of Kelso's silly charm into film success, Kutcher backed off, agreeing on Lido appear in several episodes in season 8. Two of its most popular abruptly absent characters, Basement Circle, creative team struggled to save the show. Introduce a brand was their solution. Josh plays Randy Pearson, a newcomer, Myers. Randy was written as casual, wisecracking personality to fit in, but he never won over crowds. Many fans saw a new person that was dropped into a tight circle of friends that had grown evolved together throughout time. Within cast, responses to Ree's addition were varied. Actors welcomed change, while others secretly concerned that the show was heartless. The ensemble change wasn't the only complication. Himself, Grace had long fame's demands were difficult. Some of his co-stars embraced he avoided the spotlight at reunions, promotions, and the Hollywood networking that came naturally to others. Indeed, his leaving the performance was about more than job hunting. Topher chose to withdraw from exposure that never fit cozy with him. Even as the show its roots suffered, these developing pangs stay connected to creativity battles shaped it from the start. When Fox executives began considered the 1998 pilot, reluctant to set a exclusively 1970s sitcom because they worried nostalgia would alienate younger viewers. The makers, however, fought to save the decade, claiming that parenthood is difficult, family pressures to teenager friendships, heartbreak, rebellion timeless. Early teen testing audience backed them. The pilot scored high, and chemistry between the cast confirmed this beyond a period piece. This chemistry contributed to that 7's show works. Live filmed that studio audience. Room energy was evident, and actors thrived on it. Basement scenes often featured line improvised moments, natural responses, making the group seem less scripted sitcom, characters more like pals chilling out. The audience liked how circular scenarios suggested characters smoking covertly explicitly. The authors relied comic timing and implication suggest what was happening, leaving enough to imagine while maintaining censors content. The family show's core dynamic was another must-have. While Eric Scher's youthful exploits were key, fights with his father grew similar but iconic. Kurt plays Red Foreman. Smith gave such severe love bluntness that his snappy one-liners became famous moments in TV. Interestingly, the role purportedly offered to Red Chuck Norris declined. Had he accepted the possible tone drastic, but looking back, impossible to imagine anyone but Smith in it. He portrayed the stern father balancing well with Deborah Jo Rupp's warm, unusual Kitty, creating realistic home life that grounded humor. Despite strengths, Bythe's magic faded in season 8. Without Grace and Kutcher leading, show rhythm was off. The critics and fans once had chemistry praised was difficult to capture. Audiences noticed the change. Improvised basement gags were limited so far when the emotional glue series disappeared peacefully. And while show cracks were becoming apparent, intimate lifestyles cast and crew fought more intricate than anything written in script. The off-screen battles. Topher Grace's journey the 70s show wasn't smooth. Appeared to viewers. With Eric Foreman was the series' emotional core, Grace often felt isolated, the cast. Season after season, he becoming increasingly alienated. Piquinto prioritized business over relationships with his co-stars off-screen. His fame come abruptly, and unlike some castmates who flourished, Grace favored the spotlight towards low-profile cinema roles, quieter life. He departed eventually. Display, leaving an environment where he never felt comfortable. Lisa Robin Kelly's tale was far darker. She, Eric's naughty Lori Foreman older sister, and her witty comedy timing gave the show an edge. Early seasons. But behind the scenes, Kelly struggled with severe addictions. Her issues escalated. Impossible to disguise, and she eventually was removed from the series, replaced by Christina Moore. Kelly saw years-long downward spiral arrests and public incidents. She died at 43 in 2013 while rehabbing. Her death followed multi-substance link complications. And for the fan series, it tragically showed how far her life had fallen apart. Character that stole so many scenes. Tamara Roberts played MIJ. Piniotti, Donna's free-spirited mother, has her own struggle. In the middle of the series, she made difficult decision to leave caring for her spouse, who had diagnosed with terminal disease. Roberts' disappearance was noticed. Her eccentricity had created a space favorite. Years later, in 2021, Roberts died unexpectedly at the 71 following urinary tract issue infection to sepsis. Her passing startled fans and ex-fans colleagues as she remained warm-adored long after leaving the show. The off-screen struggles kept going. Tommy Chong, who played lovable hippie Lee Oriole-life counterculture into the show, the 2003 sentence for Chong was 9 months in federal prison for selling illegal drugs via his family business. Despite his prison time was brief, it created an obvious irony. Character who was suggested intoxication off-screen was paying the price for a stoner-influenced career culture. Danny Masterson's son fell significantly worse. He was Stephen Hyde. Been the cool, snarky buddy many spectators admired. But in 2023, Masterson's son was found guilty of incorrect behavior and sentenced 30 to life in jail. A case had built for years, and when conviction arrived, sending Hollywood shockwaves. The consequences went beyond Masterson himself. Public hostility grew toward him. Ex-Ma Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, after realizing they had wrote messages supporting him, Befarito sentenced him as a nice guy private individual. The backlash was quick and unforgiving, with fans critics wondering how two actors who made careers on likability can publicly support man convicted of offenses. Through all, Grace's isolation from remainder of cast became more understandable. He didn't participate in Masterson's defense, nor he wrote support letters. In fact, Grace had left long ago from the off-screen tightness with many of his co-stars maintained. By Masterson's lawsuit revealed Grace's split group members gave him a layered defense against criticism faced. The Fez actor Wilmer Valderrama also faced scrutiny subsequently for his former partnerships. His dating public history returned discussion, particularly his participation with youth celebs in his youth 20s. Critics cited these relationships as problematic. In retrospect, new shadow projected over actor was formerly considered harmless and amusing. A comparison between characters fans loved and the actual those behind them struck. Group represented a carefree teen friendship, imagery, love, rebellion. However, off-screen, addiction characterized reality. No script could predict crime, and scandals soften. Even during manufacture, Fesho's developers knew the hazards, letting the cast's youth and celebrity lose control. They held stringent set monitoring, enforcement language network guideline storylines, and conduct. A few sequences implied rather than shown directly. Out of curse words, actors were anticipated toked Fox-like intended to project. The irony was that while the network held firm control over what happened before the cameras, had little impact over the cast's actions after walking off lot. That 70s show was huge. Hit. But like many long-running shows, it carried a string of controversies that have grown observable later. The show controversies. A hot topic on the show, Jackie was played by Ma Kunis Burkhardt. Young Kunis was 14 when she joined the show, considerably more youthful than her co-stars. While she talent rapidly made Jackie one of the notable personalities, she shot adult scenes with older actors as long been criticized. At the time, producers allowed. But later talks concerning Hollywood's treatment teenage actors, Kunis' situation regularly highlighted as a concern example. Casting issues aside, writing occasionally crossed lines that aged poorly. Played by Fez, Wilmer Valderrama was constant target of xenophobic joke stereotypes. Exactly his name, short for foreign exchange student, stripped clear cultural identity, reducing him to a continuous joke about being foreign. For late-night viewers, 1990s comedy was widely accepted, but as discussions about how Fez is represented has changed, writing now seems awkward dated. Treatment of Jackie Burkhardt also criticized. Jackie was often shallow, manipulative, and materialistic, feeding into bad gender stereotypes. While Moniz was charismatic and witty. Position, the character relied cliches about the vain girl who left limited room for nuancito later seasons. Viewers loved Jackie, but many knew the humor around her often boosted limited ideas of women instead testing them. There were moments. The show aimed to push limits in other directions that in one early storyline. Eric shares unexpected intimacy with Buddy, a young actor portrayed Morgan J. Gordon-Levitt. While this was groundbreaking for network comedy, was also considered more as a time joke rather than real issue. The history was dropped after episode. Critics arguing that the show squandered an opportunity. Have a meaningful conversation. Other creatives behind the camera decisions caused debate. Lisa the Robin Kelly character Lori Foreman unexpectedly recast in Season 6 with Christina Moore playing the role. Without explanation, viewers for the shift and transition felt upsetting, especially since Lori had been really noticeable earlier in a series. Around the same time, buzzed about Lindsay Lohan appearing starring may have brought big star power, but her appearance reported illness-related cancellation, disappointing fans. As the series winding down, controversies persisted. The End, aired in 2006, was criticized for being hasty and not giving viewers impending shutdown after 8 years. Even the show's timeline mattered out of dispute. Series took place between 1976 and 1979. Yet, occurrences often and beyond reality time should allow. This caused fan beliefs regarding deliberate time distortion, with some jokes on the basement was a bubble where the 1970s continued. Another dispute was how Red Foreman's severe parenting was framed. Many found his continual threats and insults humorous. Some claimed the character's sharpness bordered on emotional treatment. Sharp quips, often targeted Eric, became cultural catchphrases. But eventually, they debated whether the humor excused harm. Perhaps the most comprehensive 70s critiques how lacked diversity. Aside Fez, who was written as a main cast exaggerated stereotype was mostly white. Set for showing a fictional Midwest village, producers argued it was feasible. But critics say it missed opportunity to display more American life reflected in 1970s. These inconsistencies were, despite being little, they affected overall show impression. What no fans saw. Eric Foreman may have liked the plain, sarcastic kid at center of that 70s program, but his character has depths that casual unnoticed spectators. The authors and set designers added subtleties into his environment, and when assembled they show more collectively the complicated teen portrait battling with identity, insecurity, family expectations, and weight. The most subdued aspect was Eric's room. Posters, models, and decorative items on his walls were more than backdrops. They mirrored his actions, visually emotional condition. For Eric, retreating into a distant galaxy offered and frustrations he couldn't voice. All his X-Wings and lightsabers room reflected his desire to join something bigger. Despite Wisconsin's small town rarely offered him the chance. Eric's monologues often strengthened this reflection. He had ability to slip into moments philosophical inquiry, his mission, family dynamics, even the meaning of growing up that a character beneath the sarcasm, though he contemplated life rarely told him friends. His tendency to bury one was reflected beneath humor that the show's subtlest criticisms, poisonous masculinity, and emotion suppression. His complexities, this association with Red motif was most evident. Red's tough love required stoicism, and resilience, and Eric's failure meet those standards tension continuous. Episodes often showed Eric cowering from his father's sternest words. They also hinted a wider generational gap between men like Red, grown under World War II, teens like Eric, navigating social change in the 1970s. Sarcasm became Eric's shield. Pals, Donna, and even his parents. He often hid behind deadpan humor to distract his insecurity. His dread was failure, had dreaded disappointing others, and he feared becoming like his father, stuck in work, responsibility, unsaid frustration. During 6 seasons, Eric changed gradual but obvious. He started as passive, clumsy, and reactive. Although bit with time, he became more forceful. His relationship with Donna sparked for growth, encouraging him to stance, faces his fears, fights to independence. Leave Decision for Africa was a program highlight. Emblematic moments. It symbolized Eric's pursuit of independence and purpose step outside point safety place, then unknown. His subsequent appearance in that 1990s show connected these strands decades later together. Viewers noticed an elderly Eric, no longer an insecure teen, father and professor who had obviously matured his past. He was an ideal. He still had flashes. Same awkward sarcasm. There was growth in his relationship with daughter and handled adulthood. Eric's friendships revealed other sides of him weren't always nice. Over his relationships with Hyde and Kelso declined, formed by jealousy, shifting allegiance, and natural distance between persons increases as the age. His Fez interactions, he frequently expressed displeasure with vulnerability and intimacy, as Eric sometimes joked to prevent face deeper emotions. These dynamics suggested Eric was the group's glue and can allow those connections fray. But what happened in front of half the tale was cameras. Behind screen, undiscovered details painted a picture that was equally intriguing and sometimes strange than aired. Secrets from the set. Behind the Joy and 70s bell bottoms. Their creation presentation had stories that helped make the sitcom cultural became a phenomenon. For Ashton Kutcher entered the set for the first time was less confidence-driven survival-focused. He had little acting experience when cast as Michael Kelso, the sweet but stupid pretty boy. Kutcher later admits to spending his early years fearing termination, convinced producers would see through him and replace him with an experienced one. Yet that worried energy may have propelled him. Wide-eyed, clumsy appeal, which ended become a show classic performances. The cast created their own connection method. Before at each taping, they selected a word for the next episode. It was sometimes funny, sometimes profound, and typically random, but it reminded them subtly. Sync energy, maintaining chemistry crisp and convincing on screen. Even cast surprises were frequent. Deborah Jo Rupp, actress Kitty Foreman, said she didn't know her show was set in the 1970s. First joined. Her sole attraction was crisp, humorous writing, only realizing she was going to enter universe of polyester, lava lamps, disco slang. Technically, production used cunning methods. A laugh track wasn't recorded live but added post-production well-timed to boost punch each joke. While Basement, prominent spot where much off-story was subtly reworked through seasons. Small tweaks like fresh furnishings, rearranged posters, lighting, changes mirror development, even if most no viewers noticed. The credit to sequence was odd. The photos of the cast singing in the street weren't studio tricks. Actually, they did pile into a car with a camera attached to the hood. What appeared carefree spontaneous was tight. Choreographed. A balance between safety, performance, and capturing youthful rawness. Finally, these details combined to make greater than anticipated. What began 1970s sitcom turned into era time capsule. One it shone, and the one it was kept all the awkwardness, hopes and unfulfilled friendships dim with age. Which was your favorite about that seventh show? Drop your comment below with answers. If you like the video, remember to select the next video.